Hey everyone, my name is Sai Joshi, like a sigh of relief, and I'm a fourth year medical student. I finally picked a medical specialty and I'm going to be applying to residency right now. I have to submit my application in about a week, and so I thought I would just take this time since my podcast is on a bit of a break at this moment. If you guys don't know, I do host a podcast with 3 other co-hosts. It's called Brown Girl White Coat. We talk about being women in medicine and interview a lot of amazing guests on there. If you're interested in that, go check that out in the bottom bar. Oh yeah, before I get started, please ignore that. That is a bunch of clothes on my computer chair. This is my little foam roller. Just ignore the state of my room behind me and focus on my face. I thought I would talk about what medical specialty I picked, just in case you don't follow me on Instagram or follow the podcast. You might not know too much about the specialty. I do a lot of mentoring for pre-med and medical school students. This is, the most asked question, especially once they find out what I'm interested in. This is the most commonly asked question, like, why did you pick this specialty? What excites you about the specialty? How is the job market for this specialty? Without further ado, I will reveal the medical specialty I picked, and I'm so excited to say that I am going into emergency medicine. I'm so excited to finally be able to say it and be able to just start my dream of being an emergency medicine physician. So crazy to say, it's insane. But I just wanted to talk about why I picked it and what excites me about it. So at this point in my 4th year, I am done with my home rotation. So how it works for EM is you do a home rotation, you do a away rotation. This year we only had 1. In previous years it's been 2 to 3. That's really the place where you work as a sub-I, you work as an intern, you see your own patients, and they try to give you as much independence as possible. And for me that meant doing a lot of procedures on my own, with supervision from my attending doctor and the residents, of course, and taking care of patients from the beginning of their emergency room stay to their dispo, which is wherever they were going to go, whether it was surgery, whether it was going to be to a inpatient medicine service, whether it was to psychiatry down the street in the psych ED. That gave me a lot of fulfillment, satisfaction, gratification that I was making a real difference, and it really, really excited me to have that ED experience. Here are some of the things that I like about the emergency room and some of the things I don't like. You're not going to find a specialty where you like 1000% of everything that specialty has to offer. So why don't I start with some of the cons actually? So some of the cons of emergency medicine that I hear from other specialties, you have a lack of continuity of care. You're not going to be someone's doctor, right? You're going to be the emergency room doctor. You're not going to be their primary care physician. You're not going to be their physician for an extended period of time, hopefully. God forbid we have boarding. You are going to be there for a short period of time for their stay, which I know can be a con in a lot of people's books. But I realized that wasn't necessarily the most important thing to me in being a doctor, and it's different for everybody. My sister is going to go into gynecologic oncology, and she really wants that continuity of care to be someone's oncologist, to be both their surgeon and managing the medical side of their oncology treatment. I think that that's super admirable, and I think that that's something that a lot of people do want from medicine. It just didn't happen to be the thing that I was particularly excited about. And then some of the cons, of course, the job market. This is something that has been going on for year or two, a couple years here. There are more residency spots available than there are attending jobs, which requires a great deal of debate. Are you going to have a job, and whether you really want to do this specialty because of that. Now, I'm of the opinion that I don't think that should prevent anybody from doing this amazing specialty, this amazingly rewarding specialty. But I know that when it comes time to apply to attending jobs, the institution that I trained at for residency is going to matter. That the fact that I have an interest in medical education and academic medicine is going to matter. To be able to get a job at a big academic center in a city type scape, all the things that I do to set myself apart from other people who probably want the same outcome is going to matter. And so I had a lot to think about when it came to that. So that's definitely a con. It's not a different specialty where there's a lot of jobs available at this time, especially with COVID and I do think, getting quote unquote replaced by advanced practice providers is also a concern for some people. Anyways, that's definitely one of the cons of the job market right now. Also, a lot of people don't really like shift work. Shift work is a huge plus for me. I am the type of person that I want to come in, I want to do a good job, I want to do right by my patients, but I want to know what time I'm going to be leaving every single day. And of course, there's always exceptions. You stay over sometimes to finish your notes, you stay over to take care of someone when a handoff is not possible or if it's a really medically complex patient. But for the most part, you come in, you work your shifts, you work an 8-hour shift, a 10-hour shift, 12-hour shift, and you go home and you kind of get to leave what you saw at the hospital. And I find that to be a huge plus. I know a lot of people don't like shift work, considering, there's a lot of like handoffs going on in the process. You don't have that like continuity of care of saying, I took care of this patient their entire stay. Even sometimes you may have a patient come on and you might have to, quickly go see them, make sure they're not dying, and then hand them off to the next team. Editing this video, and I just realized that I didn't even mention that some of the reasons that people don't like shift work is that it does entail a lot of nights at times. So an example for a night shift could be like 11 to 7, like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. It can get very taxing. However, that also means you're working like fewer shifts throughout the week, like typically, maybe 4 to 5 shifts per week out of 7 days. And so that's a reason that a lot of people don't like it. Okay, back to the video. Some of the pros, obviously, I find it to be an extremely exciting field. It's not a sensationalized view of it. I've had, over 3 months of ER experience. Every day is different. I see things that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm probably just going to learn about this in med school and never see it again. I see those things. I see, odd genetic disorders. I see, and like their medical complications. I see just absolutely unheard of things in the ER. We see a lot of trauma, which is extremely sad for our patients. That sort of environment where everyone is working together, everyone is just gelling together. Each discipline, whether it's nursing, whether it's pharmacy, or medicine, comes together and takes care of this patient in the worst moments of their lives, I think is just so rewarding. It's a privilege to be able to take care of those patients, and it's something that would never leave me bored a day in my life. And then of course you do have your quiet days. No one's supposed to say the word quiet in the ER, but you do have your quiet days, and you learn to count your blessings on those days as well, because the ER can be such a chaotic but organized place to practice. I also love that I don't ever have to consider insurance as a part of it. Like, obviously it's extremely sad that, the American healthcare system is so wonky for our patients, and that a lot of the times the things we do leave them with extremely unmanageable emergency room and hospital bills. In that moment of potentially saving someone's life, I don't have to see, hey, do you have insurance? Or I don't have to see, hey, are you documented, etc., etc. So I really like that. I can just put that aside and think about the patient and take care of the person and the disease process in front of me, and not have to worry about insurance. That really excites me and pairs very well with all of the things that I am very passionate about. All ERs, whether you work in a county system, whether you work in a community or academic site, all ERs are the safety net of their community. And we treat anyone and everyone that comes through that door. Yes, there's a triage system. The patients that are the sickest are going to be seen, and we have to do that triaging in our head. Like, is this patient sick? Let me go lay eyeballs on them and see, are they sick? Are they okay? And that clinical gestalt and making those decisions. And I get to tackle on a lot of social determinants of health. We see patients that they have substance use disorders. We see patients that are repeat visitors because they have bed bugs at the shelter, and they just can't sleep there at night, and they want a warm bed, or they want food or water. And I have the utmost compassion and empathy for those people, and I get to interact with them on a daily basis in the ER, and I really, really hope I don't get jaded. So We see a wide variety of people. We see everyone from birth to death, really. I know early on in my medical career, I really couldn't decide adults or kids. And I was really passionate about pediatrics for a while and realized shortly after my pediatrics rotation that, working with adults was definitely the move for me. But I wouldn't mind seeing pediatric patients every now and then. I really loved psych. I wouldn't mind seeing psychiatric patients or people who need psych help every day of my career. I really wanted to see those medically complex patients as well. I wanted to see people with LVADs, people who just gotten transplants. I wanted to be challenged every single day. And that's what I know this field will do for me. And it just excites me so much. And some of my personal background. So I think this has a huge impact on the specialty you end up deciding to go into, is what you thought doctor meant kind of at the beginning of your journey. And for me, a doctor was always someone who was resourceful. They could help anyone in any setting, whether it was on a plane, whether it was in the middle of nowhere, whether it was in a big city, on the street. That's what I thought a doctor was, and that's the exact kind of doctor that I'm seeking to become. And I think that's different for a lot of people. A lot of people see a doctor as, like a family doctor, someone who sees the same patients from birth to death and sees them continuously and helps kind of from the ground up work on healthy habits, work on medication adherence. And that can be for some people. My sister had a huge passion for working with women, all sorts of women, all kinds of women. And so that's what she saw being a doctor as, and she really loved surgery. And so that became a huge part of her future career. For me, that just wasn't the case. So in summary, if you had to kind of think about a specialty, think about these qualities, rank them in order of importance to you, and see kind of what way you're leaning more towards. Some of the things I considered was adults or pediatric patients. Is this going to offer me continuity of care, or does this not really matter to me? What kinds of patients am I going to be able to help? I think that's hugely important to kind of figure out where you want to practice and where you want to train, even for residency. Then I do think there's a small part to say about, do I fit in with this personality type? Do I like the people I'm working with? I have a friend who was originally going to go into a different field, and she really did not vibe with the personality. And she picked something that she was also equally interested in, really vibed with a different personality type. And ended up going that way because she was like, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my working days with these people every single day. And I want it to be fun, and I want it to be worth it. Think about acuity of care. There are places that have low acuity of care. You have your family medicine, your, sometimes internal medicine, you have derm, you have like outpatient, optho, and then you have your high acuity of care. You have your trauma surgery, you have your emergency medicine, you have OBGYN at times. OBGYN really has a good mix of, all things. You get your clinic time, you get your surgery time. So I would just highly recommend that you look at these few qualities before you make your decision and see which way you're leaning more towards. That was why I love emergency medicine and why I'm so excited to be applying for the Match Cycle in 2022. I will be finding out where I matched after this interview season. If you want more information about me, you want to follow along the journey, you can visit my Instagram in the bottom bar. It's at Life of Sai, and I'll put it on the screen as well. If you're interested in more interviews, hearing my beautiful voice, it's Brown Girl White Coat is the podcast, and it can be found anywhere you listen to podcasts. And then finally, make sure you hit subscribe, like, comment, whatever you're going to do for this video. I'm going to be posting a lot more vlog content about my interview cycle and just general tips for medical students and pre-med students. So I love mentoring. Feel free to reach out to me via DM on Instagram or email me. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.